If you're brand new to VIPKid, you're just starting out, and you'd love to hear some tips and tricks and some secrets from veteran teachers that are successful within the platform, well, this video is for you. If you're new to my channel, my name is Bianca with biancasonoda.com. I've been teaching with VIPKid for over 1.5 years now. I just signed my 4th contract with them, and I've been also teaching with Outschool for about 2 months. I help future aspiring teachers get through the hiring process for both Outschool and VIPKid. In this video, I got the chance to interview 3 veteran VIPKid teachers. They will go into detail some of their secrets and some of their tips and tricks on how they set up their classroom, how they effectively write student feedback, and how they balance working from home along with family and health. When I first started with VIPKid, I know that I kind of felt isolated. You are working remotely, you are working from home, and you don't have coworkers. So I didn't have the support system, or there was questions that I wanted to ask people. So I made this video for those that just need some reassurance and need basic questions answered on how to become successful within the platform. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Go ahead and get started. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Bianca with biancasonoda.com. I'm a wife and a mom to my almost 2-year-old son, Luca, and I've been teaching online with VIPKid for over 1.5 years and with Outschool for about 2 months now. All right, Brittany, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure, I'm Brittany from BrittanySlammer.com and my YouTube channel where I do videos all about teaching for VIPKid and budgeting. I am a mom of 5 and I'm just trying to keep everyone alive. and some days it's a struggle, but we're hanging in there.
Good for you. Audrey?
Yeah, I'm Audrey from TeacherAudrey123.com, and I have a YouTube channel, TeacherAudrey123, and there's videos about teaching ESL online and still trying to figure out the other parts of it, and that's me.
Awesome. Caitlin?
And I'm Caitlin Beyer from the YouTube channel Hello Katie, and I have a website, hellokatie.life. I'm also a mom. I have 2 toddlers, 1 and 2 years old. So same thing, just trying to keep it all together. And I work for VIPKid. I've been with them for 2 years. And then I also have worked with iTutor Group for about 1 year and with Outschool also for about 2 months.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, so let's just go ahead and we'll get started with our first question. So this question is for those new teachers out there looking to get their classroom set up. What are your favorite and most used props? Do you guys use digital props, or are you more into the 2D props? And if you can think of anything that you regret buying, would you mind sharing that as well? Brittany, we'll just go in the same line.
Okay, I brought visuals. I use Meg and Mike and Dino the most, like VIPKid characters in general. And I teach mostly levels 1 through 4, so I'm younger kids. With older kids, I mean, I didn't even know that there were more VIPKid characters for a long time. There are more characters. And I have them, and I occasionally use them, but these 3 are the ones I use like all the time. Okay. And stars are my, like, I use other rewards, but these are my like go-to. I can use for any gender, well, either gender. I guess there's only 2 genders. For either gender, any age. They're just the most useful. And then my whiteboard. The magnetic and the double-sided, I think the double-sided is my favorite, but then I love the magnetic one too. So those are the ones I use all the time. I did not buy like hardly any props, but I have printed quite a few. I don't have a lot of space. I have stolen a couple toys from my kids, but my kids don't have a ton of toys. So I don't use a lot of 3D props. I use mostly 2D. I probably have more than I should. And then I use my phone. I don't use a lot of digital, but I use my phone for any time I need to show something that I don't have.
Okay. And then when you first started, do you feel like you bought like a ton of stuff that like you don't use, or did you filter
No,
through that?
I didn't go buy any. Well, that's not true. Before my very first class, I went to the dollar store and bought, they have like the doll set,
Yeah.
like with a dresser and an armoire and table and chairs. I bought one of those, and I have used it because my first lesson needed like a desk and a chair. So I went and bought those, and I've used them, but I could have gotten by without. But it was my first class. So but no, I wasn't sure I really was going to want to teach, so I didn't want to spend any money. So I didn't go buy anything. I pretty much just used what we had on hand and printed what I didn't have.
Good call.
Which printing can be expensive. Like
Yes,
you're kind
it
of
can.
deceitful, like, oh, I'm not buying that much in free printables, but yeah.
It can. However, we had invested in one of the EcoTank printers.
No, that's cool.
So it was a lot up front, but it like over 2 years worth of ink up front. So I don't feel as guilty, but we did that because I do preschool with my kids, like my own preschool, and I was printing a lot for that. And I kind of figured I might for VIPKid, but yes, you have to be so careful because
you should put that link in the description to let us know what that printer is, Brittany.
Yeah, so you pay more up front, but then the ink lasts for a long
That's
time.
cool.
So then I don't feel as guilty.
Yeah.
And I
Printing a
print.
bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But so no, I'm big 2D. I need to do more digital, I feel like. I'm moving that way, but I'm like technologically challenged, so it scares me.
I feel the same way. All right, Audrey, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like Brittany. I like the double-sided whiteboard and then the magnetic one. I have a dice that I can use for rewards or just extension and adding or making something into a game. I like my Melissa and Doug magnets and stuff. I feel like I can cover a lot of content with that.
Ooh.
And then my Meg and Mike dolls that I got. Those are my favorite. For one thing that I got early on that I use all the time, even with my older kids, are these monsters. The little ones, like the little kids, like to have the monsters eat me during class. And so that's kind of funny. And then I can demonstrate like first, second, third with like level 3. And I've even used them in my upper levels to like model conversation or something. And they're cute, but they're fun at the same time. So the grades don't matter. And then I also use Minicam a lot. I went through a time I used green screen. I've kind of gotten away from that. But I like, if my students need to extend like with other visuals and just having them where I can type them in and throw them up on the screen. Or if like what I did in the beginning, I found some flashcards and I would just snip the part out and then save it and then make like a digital flashcard instead of printing them off.
Kind of your own.
And then and then I would label them as something that would be easily found. And then if I'm in the middle of the class and I need something yellow, I just type yellow and anything with the word yellow pops up and then I can select it real quick. So
that's convenient.
Yeah, it's just really nice because I have trimmers and sometimes doing the fine motor and sorting through the cards will set them off. And so it's just a quicker way of doing it. So.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Caitlin.
Yeah, so the very first prop that I got, even before I even got hired, there was one thing I bought, which was the little, they have them on Amazon, and it was like a 25-pack of all these little, they're like finger puppet animals. But they have animals and then they have people too. So I use it for like him, her, and then animals come up in all of like so many different lessons. So they've come in really handy. I've used them all the time. I just have them all out all the time. And then I use toy food quite a bit, which that I have for my kids anyway. So I mean, if I didn't have kids, maybe I would have gotten it, but I use that all the time. Pretend to eat the food. I use it in the lessons where they talk about food, so that's helpful. And then obviously the whiteboard. And then the magnetic stars that I got from Amazon like this. So these are really cool. I use these for like sometimes for find a star, and then I also use them to do like this, that, these, those, and you're explaining those kinds of terms and then talking about when things are the same or different, then I have a different star. So I use those a lot. And then I do use some digital stuff. I don't use them for props as much, but I use them a lot for rewards. So I do like Google Slides I'll use.
Okay.
Slides is awesome for rewards. It's so
Yeah.
helpful. Like I don't even think about
It
my
seems
rewards.
just like so intimidating. I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into that, but there's so much out there that I should use it.
Yeah,
And a lot of it's free, right?
It's
Yeah,
really, and
right.
it's really easy. I am
And-
not technological either. It's really, really.
It's easy. All right, so maybe I just got to do it.
I am the least
And
tech
there's some,
about everyone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping and eventually like to go step by step and like kind of do like a week or 2 week time, because it can be overwhelming at first because there's so much you can do and there can be tech problems. So you need to be able to like
Figure it
embrace
out.
that and
Mhm.
know like a plan B type thing. But once you have all those tools in your toolbox, like it's really nice, like, oh, I needed that, or this could reinforce just to
Mhm.
really meet the student's need quicker. And then the slides with like the rewards, I went through a time that I did that, and the
Mhm.
kids like that too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really versatile with the Google Slides because you can use
Mhm.
they have teacher versus student, like game type rewards on there, and then they have everything. That one's like you can type in. There's a Facebook group for it, so you can type in if there's like a topic your kid likes, and they'll come up, and you just click on it, and then you have it once you have the SlideKick app. So it's super easy.
the slide kick's cool. Yeah. You
Yeah,
can just do it.
awesome.
Do you just use your phone, Caitlin?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I just hold my phone up. I don't have
Yep.
anything. So.
All right, thanks guys, good to know. Okay, so next question. How much prep time does it take you before each class? And what tips can you guys give to those newbies out there on how to prep for their classes? Brittany.
I would say 2 to 5 minutes preparing for class. When I first started though, it was a lot more than that. And like my first couple of weeks, I was like, I'm spending more time preparing than I am teaching. But it was because I wanted to do really well and I wasn't comfortable. So that went down. So the more you teach, the faster your prep becomes. And then I know I was intimidated because in the Facebook groups, there were so many people that said they just wing it. They don't prepare at all. I was like, what? But then I realized they're not, I mean, yeah, they are, but they've taught thousands of classes.
Right.
So they know them. So
Yeah.
now if it's a class, I'll glance at it, like, oh, I've taught this one. Yeah,
Right.
grab a couple of props. I'm good.
I'm sure in the beginning, everyone, you're gonna prep you're nervous, you don't know what you're doing, and then eventually then you get the hang of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So at the beginning, it does take a while, but no, it's just a couple minutes. I like to look at the objective to make sure I know what I'm supposed to be teaching and not go off on a tangent. And I just glance through the slides and grab props that I have right there that I can use.
Right.
And I stick them, I have baskets. I stick them in a different basket for each class so they're all ready to go. And it just takes a couple minutes.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. Audrey, what about you?
Yeah, so it takes me between 2 to 5 minutes, maybe a little longer if I have like a level 7 or a writing class with more grammar or need to figure out kind of how to paste and stuff. Those take a little bit longer. And in the beginning, I tried a bunch of different things and like would write out the different objectives for every class and stuff. And I think really if you are learning and applying it, just like mentally going through it, you're going to learn a lot, and maybe just write down bullet points on a dry erase marker, but don't print out a bunch of stuff. Like there's a lot of resources that are even free, but I found for me personally, I ended up getting rid of it at the end of the day. So
Yeah. Caitlin?
Yeah, so I'd say I probably spend about 5 minutes the night before prepping for my like block of morning classes. So
Okay.
I usually, well, like they both said, I mean, if you've seen the classes, you don't really need to do much. So I usually just kind of flip through and make sure there's nothing I haven't, nothing that changed or anything like that. And if there's a new lesson, I kind of go slide by slide just really quickly to make sure I know what they want me to do.
And you're switching between like iTutor group, right? Correct? Is it iTutor group or?
Yeah, but I don't do that. I have like all my VIPKid at once. So I don't like
Okay.
Oh, that's a good idea.
them too much. I usually have all my VIPKid at one time. So.
Okay, so that makes it not too bad.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, thanks guys. So next question, how do you write your student feedback? How long does it take you to complete it? And do you guys use templates or do you use other resources like Feedback Panda? Brittany?
I do the sandwich. Like, oh, this is gonna be backwards. I'm used to VIPKid
No,
classroom. I do the sandwich where it's
I think you're good.
It's good.
Yeah.
something they need to work on, and then end in positive note. I keep it. I do what I would want as a parent. I would want the basics, like so what I want to know what they did well, and I want to know what they need to be working on, and I don't want all the fluff. I hate the fluff because
Yeah.
I'm skimming through it anyway. So I personally do pretty short feedback. Like what is it, like 10,000 characters that you're allowed to use? I'm like never like I'm like 1 or 200 max. So mine's pretty short and simple, and I have never used any feedback. I've never used Feedback Panda. I do it really quick in between classes. I do like to go, sometimes if I have time beforehand, I'll go in the material section. There's a teacher feedback, and they have like templates, and I don't use the templates, but sometimes I'll copy and paste because a lot of them have like all the vocabulary words that are already like in brackets. So that they don't.
I use it and then I tweak it to my own verbiage, you know?
Yeah. So like I've changed what I've done several times, but for the most part, I sometimes will copy and paste the vocabulary, but it's the quick sandwich, what they did well, and something like legitimate for them to work on, what they struggled with, and then end positive. I used to, in a very polite way, ask for feedback, like in a culturally sensitive way. But now that it still matters, but I have enough good 5 Apple reviews that I'm not stressed about it. If a class went really well, then sometimes I'll add that in there, but I don't as much anymore.
Yes, I agree with you. I actually used to ask too, and now I kind of stopped. I'm like,
yeah. Well, and it does. I mean, it still matters, but it doesn't affect your raises now.
Right.
Like
Of
anyway.
course. Yeah.
And if it's a regular, I have regulars that just never leave feedback, and I'm like, I'm not gonna beg them for it. So obviously they keep coming back, they're happy. But if it was like an exceptional class or a new student, sometimes I will, but not typically.
Yeah. Caitlin?
Yeah, so same as what you said, I take that little template, or that's what I used to do in the beginning, and then I would tweak it.
Yeah.
And now I seem to have a lot of kids that I teach, like within a week, they're all kind of at the same, they're like at the same spot somehow. I don't know how it happened that way, but so sometimes I'll go into theirs and copy and paste that and just kind of redo that, since it's my own words and everything, and just kind of tweak that and like adjust the strengths and weaknesses and that kind of thing. So kind of like a mixture of what you both said, but yeah, and I'm not one of those people that can do it in between. I'm long-winded, so I like go to 28 minutes in my classes usually. And then I have like a minute to get a drink of water and get myself ready for the next one. So I do mine after usually. So, but I usually take about, maybe, depending on how many classes, a couple minutes per class.
Awesome. Audrey?
Yeah, so I do the sandwich approach too. And then I always just kind of tweak it. Like I feel like it just kind of depends on the day, the student, because I have some students I see all the time. And I felt like I was writing all the time the same thing. And so every once in a while, I like to tell the parents like the goals and what we're working towards, because I have some students, the parents don't want to move them ahead. So I've adjusted the goals to what the student needs. So we're working towards those objectives, but we got to get this area kind of figured out first. And then just kind of whatever comes out, whatever's needed, and always give them something to work on, and then what they did well too. So.
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning I spent a lot of time on my feedback, and then as I got more comfortable, I realized, time is money too. You don't want to spend 30 minutes on a template, feedback. So that's why I utilize the material section on the VIPKid portal. I think is like gold. There's a ton of templates on there, and then you can make it your own.
Helpful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and I find it easy on like level 2, just jumping to the objective page and then picking 1 or 2 of those areas and say, hey, work on this. Because I'm like, they can always, if they really want to know, go back and watch the video. Like they don't need me to reiterate everything. Right. And then also knowing like what the parent wants. Like I have some parents that respond back to the feedback and like show that they're actually applying it. So I might give them more specific hands-on things to do with their kids. And then the ones that don't do that, I'll just give general practice these words or something like that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so how did you guys set up your classroom background, and how much did it cost you? And have you changed your background at all since you first started with VIPKid? Brittany?
So I've mentioned I wasn't really sure if this was going to work out or I was going to like it. And so I didn't want to invest money. I did go to the dollar store. I spent $4, but only ended up using $2 worth of stuff. This is a roll of like wrapping paper from the dollar store, and I got one of the US maps there for $1. And then these ones didn't come from the dollar store. I had different ones, but the same concept, little pom-poms that had colors. So I spent $4. I have changed it a little bit. I took the map down, and I have added a magnetic board because I like it. But and even that, like, we had the sheet metal on hand. I didn't go buy it, but I wanted to be really cheap because I didn't know if I just didn't want to spend money, and I didn't know what I would want, and I figured I just wanted to get something up, and then then I'd figure out what I liked, and
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm
It looks
pretty
great.
simple. So
And then you can just stick your rewards on there. You said there's a magnet on the back there. Yeah, that's
yeah, so yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So I usually keep the rewards up there, so I like it.
cool.
But then I see fun ones from other people. Like, I love Katie's lights, and it
Yeah.
makes me, I'm like, oh, I should do. I'm like, oh, too much effort. I'm good.
That's why I haven't changed it. So
Well, some people like change it like every month or
Oh, I
every
love that.
season. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Right.
good for you, but that's wow.
Awesome. Audrey, what about you?
Yeah, I started out with just like an alphabet chart that I got from a friend that homeschooled, and then I've kind of moved in between of working for VIPKid or once since I started, and then also like traveling and like with work. So whenever I traveled or was at different places for short periods of time, I would just kind of makeshift my background and just put some dolls or something there, or sticky tack some flashcards on the back wall. And then I thought I was going to do Splash Learn, so I got this for my background to take away the VIPKid characters. So I got that from the Dollar Tree. So, and just kept it up. So
I love the Dollar Tree. They have
Yeah.
so much there.
I didn't even, where is your classroom? Is it like, do you have your own room for it, or is it you just have a wall?
yeah, it's in my office and like spare bedroom. So I have a corner that's mainly my office spot. Like there's other parts of the room, but I don't have like everything I use for teaching is right in this
Yeah.
area. So
It goes to show that you don't need a huge space. You can, as long as you have a blank wall, you can teach anywhere.
yes.
Obviously, this is my bedroom. My son's downstairs, so I didn't want him to be noisy. But I teach in his playroom,
Nice.
and I just have a little corner that I teach in, and it works
Yeah.
just fine. Yeah.
And I know like I did an example video on the mock class, and I just put this up as my background in my name tag and had my computer on chairs. So you don't even need a desk, kind of like what you said, like just find a spot that's quiet and make it work, and then put your props around you. So
Absolutely. What about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, so I started out, well, when I first started, I was in a different house and we didn't really have a space. So I was in my dining room and I had a map just that I could like take down and put up, and we'd have guests over, and it was really always a conversation starter. So anyway, then we moved to a new house. So now I have it in my kids' playroom also, which for me, it's great. I have toys and things if I need them for props, but my kids are in my stuff all the time. So I would actually rethink that next. I had these dreams of like, oh, I'll do feedback and they'll be playing. And
yeah.
Reality is so much different than what you imagined.
I always had the best plans, but anyway. Yeah, and then I changed it to this, which if you notice, this is my fall, my leaves for fall. So that I had a re-intention also of the seasonal. I have like seasonal borders that I plan to put up, but now I'm just waiting for fall to come back around. So
There you go.
so that's mine.
Look at how proactive you are. You're planning ahead.
Getting ahead of the game.
That's awesome. All right, so I know working from home is a blessing, but it also can have its challenges. So how do you guys balance working from home along with family and health? Brittany?
Yes. So I think I block off my time. I have my teaching hours and I walk in. So we have an office. It's like a multi-purpose room. It's our like piano office exercise room. But I shut the door. And so when I'm in there, I'm working and the kids have learned that because our kids wake up early. So they're awake, but they know that that's when I'm working. And then I teach my classes. I make sure my feedback's all submitted and my props and everything's all put away. And then I go out and I leave work behind me. And now during either my kids' screen time or nap time, I'll spend a couple minutes preparing my classes for the next day. When I first started, I was doing a lot of the workshops and spending a lot more time. So I would try to listen to workshops while I was like making dinner and doing stuff so that I could still be present with my kids and it didn't like take over my life. That's not an issue now because I don't do much of that. But now, like all of us I know are doing YouTube channels and teaching for other companies. It's the same concept. I have to block off the time. And I have to leave it when I like to set timers. And so when the timer's up, like, okay, we got to be done. Even though I'm not finished, like it'll still be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And exercise, I love to exercise, but it used to be in the mornings. I would go for runs and now I teach. So I don't teach every day. I just teach like 3 or 4 days a week. So I can still do that. And instead of going to runs on my own, I will push my kids in strollers and we walk to and from school. So I've tried to balance my schedule so that some days I can still get exercise on my own and I don't get as intense of exercise, but I do it with my kids on the other days. So I'm still getting it in there.
Yeah.
But it's always a learning cycle. But blocking off my time is probably the most helpful thing.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. Audrey, what about you?
Yeah, I've just learned to be flexible and do kind of what the day has and like have a plan, but then being willing to be flexible with it. Cause like with my health, I never know like if I'll need a nap or whatever. And I know some people are really big on like set a strict, schedule and do it at the same time, but my body doesn't always do that. So I've just learned like if I'm doing YouTube at night one night and then doing it during the day a couple days later, just going with the groove, but then setting time limits so it doesn't consume me. So
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have a balance for sure.
exactly. Yeah. Because it can take over if you don't, because there's so many possibilities. I feel like with teaching, even in the beginning, like you can always open up more hours and stuff, and you don't have anybody, definitely me being single, saying, no, stop. And so you have to really kind of be wise with what you go into. And then like with the YouTube and expanding, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's like, oh, all these ideas and we want to do it, but our bodies don't
Yes.
always give us or our time. So
Yeah. No burnouts, right? Try not to burn yourself out. What about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, so same idea. I mean, I definitely time block. I think what people forget, especially when you have kids, it's awesome that we can do it before the kids wake up. We can teach in the morning, but that's when most, I think, what other moms I talk to, that's when they get things done, like their other things, because we all have a million other things to do. So I'm always, for the last like 2 years, I've been like, how come I can't get anything done? Until I realize it's because I don't have that time that people have in the morning. So for me, I take at least one weekday off so that I can, that's like my catch up time to do laundry in the morning and all that before they wake up. And then my husband and I just we just have a really specific times that we do things. Like he gets home from work and that's when he takes the kids. I'm like, here you go. I'm going to go do
Your
my
turn.
thing.
Bye.
Yeah. So we don't really see each other, but I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
we make time and we have time on the weekends and we have time after the kids go to bed for us. But yeah, it's definitely a balance and trying to figure it all out. And same thing with like exercising. I usually take some of that time at night to go for a run or something like that, but definitely balance. And with VIPKid, we all need sleep. That's the other one. So it's just trying to figure out when to do everything and setting limits. Like you just can't do it all. So
For sure. Yeah, I think I tried to teach at do those 4 a.m.s, 3 a.m.s, and I'm like, this is not working. I'm becoming a zombie mom. I can't even function. No good. So I know that my earliest class is 5:30 a.m. and that's just what I got to do for me to be a functioning person.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Be a good person.
Yeah, exactly. So last question, if you could give one piece of advice for a brand new VIPKid teacher, what would it be? Brittany, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I would just say be yourself and don't compare yourself to other teachers.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many, especially when you're researching on YouTube and you see all these different teachers, there's all these different teaching styles, and some are super energetic, and you might just be a more chill teacher. So yeah, just be yourself. I agree. Caitlin, what about you?
I think the main thing is just, we've said it before, but just patience and time. I mean, the beginning, there's such a learning curve and figuring out the feedback and getting those students, but it's so worth it. And then you get your regular kids after a while and it just all comes together. So yeah,
Yep.
just time and patience.
Audrey?
Yeah, my advice would just be instead of like buying a lot of props, like teach a while and figure out what you think you need. So then you're not going back and like having to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And then like focus on learning like more about TPR and teaching strategies that you can enhance your teaching without buying a lot of stuff. Because I mean, we're trying to make money. And if you're not careful, you can be spending 2 or 3 classes worth of
Props.
props
Yeah.
and then lose it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. All right, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. It was so nice hearing everyone's different experiences and all of your tips and tricks. And hopefully this can help other aspiring or like current ESL teachers. And if you guys are watching this and you need help with the hiring process, I'll be sure to put everyone's link in the description box below, and feel free to reach out to any one of us with any questions. We'd be happy to help. All right, thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.